So, since I recently just reached 200 subs, and the 10th anniversary of Vanguard just came up, I think it's a good time to do a 200 subs special about me playing Vanguard over the years. So let's get started. So, it all started at middle school when I was still playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Yes, I'm really that young. It was the start about the Exceed era, where the very first booster set and trial decks of Cardfight Vanguard had been released. My friend introduced me to the game. One of my friends introduced me to the game with him playing the Blaster Blade deck, which of course my very first trial deck is Dragonic Overlord, because I love dragons, so I had to play that deck. Over time I got better and better, because of course I learned how to understand the mechanics. But since I was at middle school, of course I don't have the budget to make it fully competitive, so I didn't have stuff like Aleph at the time. One of my other friends who was playing Kagura as well was playing cards with Aleph and Vortex Dragon, while I was playing what I had available with the booster packs and with the trial deck, which my main focus was Superior Riding Rashka. And then booster set 2 came out, and then I played with the Blazing Flare Dragon stuff, because I had the money to buy it from my friends. Eventually I bought the Blaster Blade deck because I like to have more than one deck, and I also like Knights at the time too, so I built both Dragonic Overlord and Blaster Blade at the time, with Kagero still being my main one, but I did get a bunch of stuff like Alfred for Blaster Blade, and eventually Soul Saver, because Soul Saver was actually really good at the time. And then the next booster set that was actually released was actually the 6th booster set, because Bushy decided to skip a bunch of booster set and went to the 6th booster set along with the 5th and 6th trial deck, which introduces Gold Paladin and Narukami, which I decided to build Narukami because I like dragons. And then I eventually went to Gold Paladins, and because of middle school budget, I played with what I had. And eventually some of my friends introduced me to a card shop that sold a bunch of Vanguard stuff, and during that time I pretty much updated my deck to pretty much a complete deck, with a Dragonic Kaiser Vermilion deck, Blonde Azel, which ended up becoming my main deck because how good it was at the time, my Royal Paladin deck, which I eventually dismantled, and my Kagero deck that was still Blazing Flare with Aleph. Later on I got rid of my Vermilion deck, it was just too many decks for me, and just focus on Azel because the 7th booster set got released during that time, and I decided to update it with Pilinor. And then the 3rd booster set came around. After that was the 4th one, which I made a Shadow Paladin deck and just instantly sold it because it was a lot of money, and also built a Dimensional Police deck, with my Gold Paladin deck being stolen at that time, because you know, middle schoolers, and I also sold my Kagero deck because I needed money. So all I was left with was a Dimensional Police deck, which was eventually stolen as well somehow, which led me to just build Grand Blue as a budget deck because my friend was nice enough to give me those cards. And then when Trial Deck 7 got released along with the 8th booster set, I decided to build Aquaforce with Naval Gazer as my main, and then set 5 got released with everything getting kind of overpowered, which eventually led to set 9 because those were the cross-ride sets you could say. And I decided to get Glory Maelstrom, built in with Naval Gazer because I was not playing regular Maelstrom, as I saw Naval Gazer being more consistent because Naval Gazer just needs to be the 3rd attack, while regular Maelstrom had to be the 4th one. And then the next booster set that was planned to be released was booster set 10, but they switched it around to booster set 11 instead, which was really awkward. But also good for me because I finally got an Aquaforce deck I was willing to build, which was Last Card Revon at the time. Went to my very first Cardfight Vanguard sneak peek along with it, and won the Blockade Inferno playmat, which looked awesome. I also built an Ancient Dragon deck, which was fun at the time. And then when Link Jokers came out, because that was the next booster set, I went ahead and built an incomplete Scourge Dragon deck, because Link Jokers was expensive, and at that point I kind of stopped playing the game for a while. Booster set 13 and 14 I kind of ignored until booster set 15, where Maelstrom Reverse was a thing. And that's where I built a Maelstrom Reverse deck with Quintet Walls because it was actually my second Aquaforce deck because I still had the Last Card Revon. And then during Legion era I did not really build any decks. The only Legion era deck I actually bought was the Link Joker trial deck, and that was just to update the current trial deck Link Joker stuff I got. But that time was very expensive and I couldn't afford playing the game, so I really just played with my old stuff. Then G era came out, did not really build any G decks until the Legend deck for Ren came out, I built a Revenger deck at the time because I got 2 Mac Lears at that time, with Pyramid as my main Vanguard, and also decided to mix my Pyramid along with the Legend deck. Ignored the next booster set until the Clan booster of Aquaforce came out, where Break Ride Maelstrom was a thing, so I updated my Maelstrom deck from there. And then it went to the next main booster to set 6, where Dark Blessed Angel was released, which was for Raging Form Dragon, and I decided to build a Raging Form Dragon deck at that time because double superior riding Raging Form was amazing, and also it was cheap at the time. And then the Legend deck of Kai got released, at which I bought because Booster Set 7 was the next booster set and I was planning to build Blade Master. And then I waited till Booster 7 got released and of course combined my Legend deck Kai along with my Blade Master stuff, which became my very first G deck without G Guardians, because at that time Kaigura was actually very cheap as it was in a main character clan, and I like dragons. And then continue on to set 9 because more Raging Form Dragon stuff came out in that set. And then to set 11 where Blade Master finally became kind of a meta deck with the Blaze support. And that's when I finally decided to get G Guardians and built a complete deck. And then moving on, as we go to set 12, there was maybe no updates for my Shadow Paladin deck, but this is when I actually decided to build a fully functional Diablo deck. And also during the time where my dad let me computer shop. So I got my Diablo cards along with my G Guardians, everything, and I waited till set 13 for the Maelstrom cards, and finally I actually got a fully competitive G deck for Maelstrom, which I really like its playstyle by the way, because it builds up soul of Maelstrom, and the more soul you got, the more powerful your Maelstrom will get. And then booster set 14 became a thing, where I got my Dragobus Luard along with just a few other cards, and was also very disappointed that Raging Form Dragon did not get a G version of it. And then the V series got announced, which I was disappointed at first, but thinking about it a little bit, it kinda makes sense. So I went on to build my very first V deck, which was Kagero with Dragonic Waterfall, did a K-split with my friends, and then eventually Champion of the Asia Circuits came out. Only used that to update my Maelstrom deck, along with the Leon Soryu Trial deck. And then Strongest Team AL4 came out, where I decided to build a fully functional standard Shadow Paladin deck with Phantom Blaster Dragon as my main. And then waited until our only mini booster was released for Novel Vague. Yes, I actually played that card just because I kinda like Novel. And then eventually, Phallus Deleter got released, which I was waiting for Gust Blaster Dragon, which we got. And of course I updated my deck with that. And then the next booster was V Extra Booster 6, where the Great was released, and I built the Great of course. And then Extra Booster 7 was a thing, with the N, and I decided to build my deck with the Great and the N, which was the deck profile that you see in my channel. And then I got my Glorious Justice with Glory Maelstrom, with the grade 1 that supported Algos to update my premium Maelstrom deck, because I still prefer the Lordly Maelstrom playstyle of building up Maelstroms in Soul, but some of the cards in this set was pretty decent for it, so I of course updated my premium Maelstrom deck and never built a standard one at the time. And eventually Phantom Steed Restoration came out. Only got myself Masquerade and Danger Lunge Dragon, as I was not willing to replace my VR cards, that being Phantom Blaster Dragon and Gust Blaster Dragon, just to play a Mordred Phantom deck, especially when I had to get two different VRs of the same set. And then Shinamon Arc became a thing, where eventually we got Team Dragon's Vanity, and that's when I got some Cleric Sword cards just to replace the Danger Lunge Dragon. And the deck profile that was made during that time is also in this channel. Waited a few months later until Silver Petal Dragon Flame was announced, or Silver Dust Plays to us English players, where I was all excited to see Alter Ego Messiah and Dragonic Overlord the Cross. And this was also the time when I decided to build a Messiah deck, all because I saw Alter Ego Messiah. So of course, I got my cards and just waited until the booster set was released, where I got both Messiah and Dragonic Overlord the Cross cards, and of course updated those decks, which you now see the videos on my channel. And then Phantom Blaster Overlord got announced, which I was all very excited for, as it was one of my favorite units at all times, and because I couldn't let go of Phantom Blaster Dragon, and I pretty much waited for that day. Eventually, of course, it's been released, and of course I updated my Shadow Paladin deck with the Phantom Blaster Overlord stuff, which now you see the deck profile on my channel as well. But I did replace those Cleric Sword Dragons with Mordred Phantom, just letting you guys know. And then V Booster 11 came out with some more Aquaforce stuff. Only cared about Terrific Coil, and that was it. Which now leads to the clan selection boosters, where you see Dragonic Kaiser Vermilion the Blood deck along with Spectro Duke, which I prepared the cards ahead of time for it. But before the release of the clan selection booster, there was also the Sanctuary Guard Dragon deck with the Daigo expansion set, which of course I got, and now because clan selection 2 is being released during this week, I am using the Jewel Knight engine to be part of the Sanctuary Guard Dragon deck. So that was my adventure of Cardfight Vanguard. Yes, I played since the very beginning of its release at the West. So yeah, I played all 10 years of its lifespan. So anyway, go ahead and tell me below what were your adventures like playing Cardfight Vanguard? When did you start playing? When did you build your actual first competitive deck? And also, what were your favorite decks at that time? I just told you mine, so go ahead and tell me yours. And also, thank you for the 200 subs, as this is a fitting time for this 200 sub special. But in that, let's fight, and thank you very much.